Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. We are here in Taichung, the middle of Taiwan, with no one other than Prosy, Mr. Taichung himself.
That's definitely Alan's title.
Who are you then?
I don't know.
And in this video, I wanted to talk with Prosy about one of the international news that have been circulating around the internet recently. And with the internet, I mean my personal Instagram inbox, because a lot of people have been asking me, why haven't I been going back home during the entire COVID pandemic, and specifically during the holidays, Christmas and New Year's? Prosy is one of, I think, the very few foreigners who also have never gone back home during this entire COVID-19 pandemic. I thought that I'm gonna have a chat with Prosy and see what his reason is. I just heard that Prosy actually has no clue to why it's called COVID-19.
I had no idea. I thought it was just like some fancy biology term. I had no idea it was for the year.
And because it was discovered in 2019.
I know, I just never put the two. I'm an idiot. I had no idea that was a thing.
So like you just thought like, oh yeah, you know, the famous COVID-1 to COVID-18, they're long gone. Yeah. Now it's time for like COVID-19 all of a sudden.
I don't know. I thought maybe because like there's 19 bacteria thing. I didn't put it together. I didn't even think about it. I'm such an idiot. Like, you know, I'm still calling it coronavirus. That's how far back I am.
At least we have taught Prosy something new here today. But starting from the beginning then, why did you not go home when you hear like all these news that, you know, the border is closing, no one knows what COVID-19 really is, but the borders are closing, the whole world is in panic. Why did you decide that Taiwan was a safer place than Canada?
I didn't decide. It's just expensive, so I didn't go back. Like 2 weeks quarantine when you come back, and I just can't afford that. As much as I love my family, I'm too poor to love them that much. Yeah, there's just too many mandates, too many restrictions in place for it to make sense. Like Ottawa, where I'm from, is literally damn near polar opposite Taiwan. It's so far away. So for me to have to like take 2 weeks and go home or whatever is such a big commitment. I'm not making any money for my job. I gotta go through quarantine, I gotta pay for all that. So I just figured I'd stay here, and there's no COVID here. There is a bit, but there's no like massive outbreaks and mass death like it's been reported internationally.
Basically, like the reason for why you don't go back to Canada is because there are restrictions here in Taiwan when you want to come back.
Yeah.
We're actually in very similar situations. You've been in Taiwan
4 years.
I've been in Taiwan for 11 years. Only been back home to our home countries twice during this time. So I can definitely relate for Prosy, but I feel like especially for foreigners living here in Taiwan, when a few foreigners are going back home for whatever reason, I've seen like a lot of comments from Taiwanese people who are saying you don't love Taiwan anymore because now when there is like a lockdown, that's when some people are fleeing back home to safety, so to speak. Is that something that would influence your decision to go back home or not?
No. I don't care. I don't care what you think. In the West, we have this idea. It's like, don't care what other people think about you. But here in Taiwan, that is absolutely not the case. You absolutely have to care what other people think of you. You have a reputation to maintain. It's extremely important to Taiwanese society. I just never really adopted that. Listen, I like Taiwan. I live here. But I feel like it gets so much fake praises from foreigners because, and Taiwanese people really enjoy it. I feel like if you compliment Taiwanese people on Taiwan, they often brush it aside. They often go, oh, it's okay. Or, oh, but it's not as beautiful as your country, or blah, 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 blah. And so when someone compliments their country, that's like you get this really nice positive feedback, and so foreigners are constantly making videos praising Taiwan for everything that it does. You have to be fair. There has to be a balance, you know what I mean? I don't know how I started talking about that, but no, it wouldn't affect me going home. I don't give a shit. I just can't afford it, that's the thing. I've heard of people saying like, you're leaving Taiwan and you go home and then you could potentially catch COVID and then you could bring it back to Taiwan and spread it here because there's no COVID here and they're trying to keep a zero COVID policy, which I don't understand. So I get that they could be pissed off that if they feel like someone's threatening their health by leaving and coming back into the country. But then by the same token, you had like thousands of Taiwanese arriving home for Chinese New Year from like wherever the hell they were, so what's the difference?
Basically, you will be able to go back home to Canada once the quarantine restrictions are lifted here in Taiwan. How is it in Canada right now in terms of like those restrictions? You said it was like very like polarized.
But right now there's a massive protest going on, which is so, I want to say it's rare for Canada, because usually when the government puts in mandates or laws or whatever, Canadians don't really give a shit. Half the people want the mandates to end and just take back their country, live their lives like it was before COVID. They're sick and tired of having to wear masks. They don't want a vaccine mandate. They don't want to have to show their papers, you know, before going into. They just want to take their country back. And then you've got the other half of the population who still thinks that COVID is deadly and we need to lock down the country and whatever. They trust the science and all that. It's messed up in Canada. No one really has the answer.
Because I mean, like in Sweden right now, like literally last week, we decided to get rid of all the restrictions. We waited until like the longest to even have restrictions in the first place. We got so much shit in international media where we didn't really have any restrictions.
Personally, as an individual, I think, yeah, just lift all the restrictions. I don't think the lockdowns are working. The vaccines are not working. That is not a fucking vaccine. It doesn't eradicate the virus. It lessens the effect. And that's good. I'm vaccinated. I almost can't believe it how easily people did away with their civil liberties in pursuit of public health. It feels good to do something that's good for the public health. And so anyone like me who takes a different stance is automatically a selfish idiot. In Western society especially, those civil liberties are the foundation, the pillars of our society. And we just gave that up so easily. And there's still people saying like, your freedoms don't matter as much as my health, blah, 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 blah. It's like, you. As an individual, your health is none of my business, and maybe that's a selfish stance. There's a very big difference between telling people things that they can't do and making people to do something. There's a difference there. Forcing people to have to do something is like so unbelievably Chinese. I can't believe how there are people who are okay with it. Despite the fact that I understand their argument of public health and science and all of that.
You could argue that no one is being forced vaccinated, but they're not being allowed to do things if they are not vaccinated.
What the is the difference?
To me, like the counter argument would be like, I am not allowed to drive a car in the traffic without a driving license, which the government is telling me that that's how it is. So if government is telling me that I need to be vaccinated in order to go into that restaurant, I could make the argument that it's like the same thing.
Yeah, I think if the restaurant decided as a business, they're not gonna let anyone without a vaccine or a mask into the restaurant, I think I can't argue with that. It's your business. You can serve whoever you want. But the government has no place in telling me where I can and can't go. It's not the government's business. That is not the job of the government, in my opinion.
But you're vaccinated.
I am vaccinated, and that's the thing, because I thought that by getting vaccinated, I could travel anywhere I wanted to. Okay, when the scientists say get vaccinated, it means that these restrictions will finally end and we can go back to living life. That did not happen. First, it was like, we need at least a certain amount of the population to have 2 vaccines. And now it's like 3rd dose. And then what? They're gonna find like fucking another variant, and then it's like, okay, we need 6 doses now. It's like, when? That's why I think it's gonna be years before Taiwan opens up. I can't criticize Taiwan on there. They've kept it out, they've done a good job. It's not my country, I can't really criticize it, but I do think it's just gonna be years. I think it's gonna be a really long time before things go back to the way they were. And it's different in Taiwan. People are used to wearing masks. Taiwanese people wore masks before the pandemic. They were totally used to it. For them, they don't give a shit. They don't have this problem with like children not wanting to wear it. That was a big problem in the West. Like kids just couldn't, they're not used to it, they didn't like it, and then people are forcing it on kids, and like that is a non-issue here. And that's another thing that's so weird. I'm ranting now. There's protests in Canada, there's protests in France, there's protests in all these places that still have restrictions. Totally doesn't exist in Taiwan. I haven't heard, I'm sure there are some people who are listening that might have an issue. I haven't heard of a single complaint from Taiwanese people about their civil liberties being taken away. They don't care about the mask mandates, they don't care about the lockdowns, they don't care about any of it. It's like they're totally okay with it. They put their health as their #1 priority, above their freedom, above money, above everything is their health. And so when the government does something that's in the best interest of the public's health, no questions asked. They're cool with it.
Knowing what you know now, if you would have known everything like this, like back in December 2019, when all of this first happened, would you have done anything differently, like on your personal level?
I would have invested a lot in Uber Eats, that's for f***ing sure. No, I wouldn't have gone back home.
The #1 thing that I hate the most is like wearing a mask. This is the rule, I will follow it, no questions asked. But this week we have to wear a mask. A month ago we did not have to wear a mask, and probably a month from now we also don't need to wear a mask.
You gotta wear a mask when you're riding a scooter. I don't understand Taiwan's policy. I don't understand the zero COVID policy. I get that they have to keep their elderly population safe. It makes sense to me, but eventually COVID's coming into Taiwan. What's the end game here? I wish I heard a plan from the government. If Taiwanese people are cool with having their civil liberties stripped so that they can keep healthy, fine, but for how long? And they're able to do this too because the Taiwanese economy, saved by the chip manufacturing.
Export numbers are like through the roof.
Oh, it's insane. I would say they probably made more money in the pandemic than they did.
Hypothetically, Taiwan would say, starting from tomorrow, there will be no more restrictions.
Oh, thank God.
COVID has never existed.
Yeah.
What is the first thing that Prazi is gonna do?
I'm gonna make out with Lukas in public in front of everybody. That's what I'm gonna do.
I was thinking more on I'm gonna book a plane ticket back home and I'm gonna start running outside without wearing a mask.
Yeah, then I'd probably finally be able to go home and see my elderly grandparents and meet up with old friends and punch a trucker's baby in the face or whatever they're doing back there. you know?
As a follow-up, I was going to say, and if that is something that you want to see, please do go and subscribe to Prossi's channel. And then that's usually how I end my videos.
Yeah, but just punch a trucker's baby in the face.
But I can't really encourage anyone to go and watch you punch a trucker's baby in the face.
Yeah, don't watch my videos. I hold dangerous views that are dangerous to public health.
Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe to Prossi if you feel like it. May stay away from actually watching his videos. I'm not really sure what is going on.
You can hit subscribe and then just never watch anything. It's fine.
That works for me.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Lukas. Starts with L as in like, ends with S as in subscribe. Please do both, and see you all in the next one.
Bye. That was fun.